I'm Alan Johnson, KU2Y, AMSAT Vice President for Educational Relations, and this video is a troubleshooting video for the CubeSatSim Lite. So let's say you've got your CubeSatSim Lite here, and you're wondering why it won't turn on, right? There's no LEDs here. Maybe you tried pressing the power on button here a few times, and nothing. So first thing is just to check all the connectors. For one thing, oops, I didn't have the power pack plugged in. So let's plug in the power pack here into an outlet, and you can always test the outlet with something to make sure that it's not a switched one or something. So still nothing. Make sure the cable's plugged in, and it appears to be. Now this looks like it's plugged in, but it's actually not. All right, you gotta, there we go. That's in all the way. So you can double check that as well. Okay. And now we have some lights here. You see that? There's a little tiny LED on the Pi 0W board, and you see it's blinking 4 times. And nothing else is happening. The green light and the blue light never come on. So this is telling you that there's something wrong with the SD card. So I'm going to power it off here. I'm going to unplug it. And one thing to always check is to make sure that the SD card is inserted all the way. Again, this looks like it's inserted all the way, but it's not. So if you plug it in like that, now it is plugged in all the way. And so now I can try it again, plug the power back in and see. And unfortunately, it still is flashing. Another thing you can do for troubleshooting is to get is basically to plug it into a monitor. So this is a little HDMI monitor. And in order to plug it in, you'll need this adapter, right? This takes a normal HDMI connector and turns it into a mini HDMI, which is what the Pi 0 needs. And so I'm going to plug it in here. Make sure, yeah, my monitor is on, and I'm going to power it on and off a couple of times here. And unfortunately, it's still flashing, and I'm not getting any error messages or anything here. So this is an indication that your SD card, right, which is the storage, it's the hard drive, if you like, on the Raspberry Pi, that it's basically that it's probably failed. So I'm going to unplug it here, and I'm going to slide the card out, and I'm going to replace it. Now, if yours needs replacing, you can get in touch with me. I'll send you a new one. There's also instructions that if you have a micro SD card reader, you can actually download the fresh image and reinstall it. So that way you can get going faster. Okay, so now I have the hopefully good micro SD card. I'm plugged in all the way, and now I'm going to plug in and see what we get this time. Okay, so now you can see the green LED, it's not flashing 4 times, and also we have things happening on the HDMI. So this is an indication that probably this is going to boot, and that this is going to work. And we have the green light on, indicating the CubeSatSim software is running. And in a moment, we should have the blue. There it is. There's the blue LED indicating that that we are now transmitting. Okay. And just another note here, if you want to do some troubleshooting on your on the Raspberry Pi software, you can plug a HDMI monitor in, and you can also plug in a USB keyboard. So here's my USB keyboard, and you need this adapter that goes from USB to micro USB. It's sometimes known as an OTG or an on-the-go cable. But basically, if I plug that in there, and I plug this into the other HDMI port there, now I can basically do things here. I can, for example, I can check the configuration. And see all the configuration options. And of course, you can do any Raspberry Pi troubleshooting that you want to do. Okay, all right. So I'm going to disconnect my monitor here. And so let's say we have our CubeSatSim Lite, and it appears to be working. The green light is on. We're transmitting. But we turn on our HT, and we basically get silence. It says it's transmitting, but it actually isn't. So one thing to double check is, are you tuned to the right frequency? In this case, I'm actually tuned to the wrong frequency, 434.915. And if I switch to the right frequency, now I can hear it. Now, depending what you hear is going to depend on what mode your CubeSatSim Lite was in. In this case, this is the APRS mode. But in any of the different modes, you should hear a signal. If you're using an SDR, software-defined radio, on your computer, make sure again that's tuned to the right frequency. Make sure that the gain is turned up. Make sure it has an antenna. Note that this little tiny thing here, labeled rain sun, that is actually the antenna for the CubeSatSim Lite. It's what's known as a chip antenna, and it's a dipole antenna. You could also, if you're handy with soldering, you could also put an SMA connector on there, and connect your own. Okay, so I'll just show you one other thing. Yeah, that's basically it for troubleshooting. If you still can't get your CubeSatSim Lite to transmit, then feel free to reach out to me, and I will help you further.